So welcome to this very new tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how you can create this face melting effect. Now this effect is applicable to any other object. It doesn't have to be in the face. It could be maybe you're trying to melt something, you're trying to melt a chocolate cake, you're trying to melt an object, or you're trying to melt a signboard. So basically once you have the setup done, you can replace it with any other object you want. Now it's going to be a very simple tutorial, very simple setup, straight up to the point. Without further ado, let's jump right in. So now the first thing I want to do is right after I load up my model is to just come here and drop in my Tyflow right into the scene. So I'm going to just open the modifier here and then open up the Tyflow editor. Quickly what I want to do is to open up, click on this button right here and just click one of this setup here. I already have one that I want to use, this one right here. So basically the reason why I'm doing that is I want to dock this Tyflow editor window right here, and I can decide to change this into like a perspective view so I can see what I'm doing. Make this into more like a default shading, and I can turn off the edge faces on or off if I want. I can also use this to just navigate around the scene as well. So we could have our Tyflow editor permanently here rather than just moving windows around. Now the next thing I want to do is just to birth. So I want to birth particles. Now it's a very simple setup. The idea is to birth particles right around this object, right? Every single part of this object, and right after those particles have been birthed, you want to make sure that you move those particles from one event to the other. So we have the particles birthed right here, and then after maybe like you're going to use like a surface offset, like a surface test, and we're going to move one particle to another event. Okay, so now let me just do it so it doesn't seem so abstract. So first of all, we're birthing particles right here, and so if you now we have particles birthed 0 to 100, but currently you're not seeing anything. So what I want to do is just to drop in a position object, right? So I'm going to click on this object right here. Now if I just quickly select this object and just hide it, now we can see that we have one particle right here. So if I move, you can see we have more particles that have been birthed over time. But what I want to do is to make sure that all the particles are birthed on the same frame. So I could say 0 to 0. So we have all the 200 particles that have been birthed on the frame 0. So right now I'm going to start by just bumping up this particle count to about say 5,000, and now we have 5,000 particles right here. Looking good. Okay, so what I want to do is to create a geometry that is going to serve as the surface offset. That's going to serve as like an activator, basically. Sorry. So the geometry is going to serve as an activator to move one particle from one state that they currently are to another state. Now I'm going to just quickly create a, let's say, sphere for instance, and I'm just going to drag the sphere this way. I'm going to move it right here, and I'm going to right click object properties, and I'm going to make sure it's display as box so that we can see what's going on within the box. Now I'm going to click on surface test right here, and under the surface test I'm going to pick this sphere right here. Now basically this just means that we are doing a test that whatever is inside or within the surface are going to be sent out into another event. Now let me just drag this right here, click on a new event, and now we see that all the previous particles that are green are now yellow. So basically we really don't want that to happen because so most of the particles are not even within this part and they already turned yellow. That is because in the surface test we set our value to 10. So anything that is less than 10 or absolute distance to 10 are going to be automatically transferred into the next event, and we don't want that. So basically what I would love to do is just to select volume inside. So basically that's going to just so you can see the sphere outline right here. So basically that's just going to turn whatever that is inside the box yellow. That's it. So this is what we're going to use to activate our particles. So now you could maybe reduce the size of the sphere to reduce the activator so all depending on what you're going for. So what I want to do is just to drop in a force right here, and I'm going to put in a gravity. So I'm going to say minus 0.0, let's say minus 0.05. We start small and see how that looks like. So let's play this and let's say, oh, so they all fall down to the ground. All right, so let us quickly animate this object, and I'm gonna go from 0 right here and keyframe all the way to frame 100, and I'm gonna just move it right here to the spot. So now you can see as we play, we have our particles activating and they fall directly to the ground, right? So what I want to do is I want to reduce this gravity some more. So let's say 0.0.01, so they are not falling so fast. And so there we go. We have these particles falling really nicely. Let me increase our time here to say about 300. And yep, here we go. We have this falling, and yeah, we're almost done with this effect. Now you could further go ahead and reduce this, or you could just drop in, say, like a slow operator there, and that should slow things down. Alright, so you put it there, and then you see it's slowing things down. We could increase this value some more, or you can even go here and let's say make this 0.0 like a 3, and then let's see how that works. There we go. Now I want to add a little bit of noise. Let me change this object properties, and let me display. Okay, yeah, so back in the display, and what I want to do is to just let me say bump the segments to about 60. Let me turn off the wireframe, and what I want to do is I want to add a little bit of noise here, right? So when I add some of this noise, I'm going to just make it fractal, increase the roughness a bit, and then I'm just going to just randomly just randomly drag this right here. So just to create a little bit of roughness, I'm going to reduce the scale as well, just somewhere around here. Alright, so because so let me reduce some of this. I don't think I'm happy with this overall effect. Maybe too much. Yep, there we go. Reduce a bit, and then I want to click on animate noise. So that's going to animate our noise. So basically it's just going to make sure that as this sphere moves closer to the object, it doesn't just activate everything at the same time, right? For this noise, I want to let me see, reduce the frequency 0.25, let's say 0.01. That will move very slowly now. Let's say 0.05 or 6. You could really experiment with a lot of these values, and that's the fun part of it, right? So we see it activating these things right now. I think it's a bit too fast. I make it 1. There we go. You can as well increase this. It's not so, yeah. There we go. Drop down the roughness a bit, and yeah, so now let's change this and take the object properties back to display as box. Alright, so with that done, I want to increase the particles. So I'm just going to come here, and I could say 100,000 particles, and now things are getting really interesting. So we have more particles, and now they fall. Now one thing that I want to do is to come back to the force here. I want to add a little bit of turbulence. So I'm going to say turbulence, put the strength to, let's start from 0.25. Let's see how that's looking. Take this back down, and let's see how that's looking. Yeah, but now we are having some issues. We're seeing it going in the z-axis, and that's because we have z turned on. We want to turn this to 0. We don't want that happening. And let's come back here and see. Okay, so that's still happening. Okay, so now let's fix that. So z, okay, let's change this to -1. Let's see. This brings value back to -1. Alright, so that fixes. Okay, we're gonna change this to -0.4. There we go. Okay, so now we're having this weird behavior right here. So I think the strength is a bit too much. 0.02. Let's see how that's looking. Let's just reduce the scale to 0.05. 0.1. -0.01. Yep. Alright, so let's see how that's looking right now. Okay, so it's looking good. I still want to add a little bit of strength of noise going on there, so let me say 5. Let's see how that works. Okay, this is looking good. It's looking good. Yep, it works. Really still not satisfied with the overall look, so let me bump this up. Let's say 0.1. Let's see how that's looking right now. Okay, not bad, not bad, not bad. But I feel we could let's say 0.2. See, so really just have to play with these values to know what works. Right, it's trying maybe too much. 0, 1. Yeah. Alright, so one thing we need to do is we need to set up a collision geometry here so that as this object falls, they eat the collision geometry, but that'll be some of the last things that we are going to do right here. So I could drop this down some more, say 0.04, and yeah, so there we go. We have it really nicely. You could also maybe adjust this collision, this activator right here forward, so it's affecting the front part of the face. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, nicely done. Alright, so we could bump up this some more, but before we do that, let's just quickly drop in. Now when you're done, you could just drop in an export. Alright, so you could just do export particles, and then you could export the particles into a tie cache, and then use that tie cache to drive your tie mesher, right? But we are not going to do that right now. I just really love to test out things before I finally export them into tie cache. So I'm just going to come here and then look for my let me see if I still remember where that is. The tie mesher. Okay, right. So the tie mesher is right here, and I'm going to drop my tie mesher right here, and I'm going to pick on this tie flow. Yep. And once I pick that, I'm going to, let me just bring on my Scene Explorer right here quickly, and I'm going to hide my tie flow. So now I have a tie mesh right here, and what I want to do is to so the more you reduce this voxel size, the more detail you get. So if I drop this to like say 1, you can see I'm getting more detail, but as you reduce it, you're going to need to generate more particles, right, to mesh distance properly. In my final file, I was using about 700,000 particles, but let me change this to 500,000 particles, and let's see how that seems. I'm gonna have my tie mesh turn back my tie flow on again, and let's play that and see how that works. There we go. There we go. Alright, so I'm just gonna pause this simulation right there and let's hit play. And now there we have it. So I'm going to let me just quickly turn this off, turn back my tie mesh, and because I've increased the particles about 500,000, I can afford to go to say 0.3, and then I'm going to also make sure my voxel size is set to the same value, 0.3. And now I begin to get something more detailed. I'm going to drop it even more to a 0.1. I'm going to drop my voxel size to a 0.1. And let's see. Yep, we begin to get some really nice results. Not bad. Now we're going to drop it even further, say a 0.04. I'm going to say 0.04. Alright, so this one's looking even. Let me turn off the edge faces. So now we're getting something detailed right now, as we see. Now I'm going to, so this all depends on how strong your machine or how far your machine can go. I can do a 0.02. I'm going to change it to a 0.02 as well. So now you've gotten something really nice and detailed, right? You could decide to I think you could smoothen this out by Gaussian. Let's see, not giving me the best of results. In my final file, actually, I didn't have to use any of this, guys. I just really bumped up my particles, but they are not looking so bad. So let me just send this, and yeah, we have our our disintegration right there. One thing I would advise is to reduce the speed of this activator. It needs to go really slow so we could see the entire, so we could see the beauty of this melting right there. Not like melting a face is actually a beautiful thing. But yeah, in this case it's beautiful. So let's just see how that seems. Guys, if you're hearing my dog back, I apologize. Alright, so there we go. I have this really nice seam right there. Yep. There we go. So we have this really nice, guys, check it out the way the face is melting together with this. In my final file, I downloaded a skull and just place it right there. Now if I'm gonna go in very super detailed with this, I'm gonna download the skull, try and model like a muzzle system beneath that, on top of that skull, so you can melt both the face and then a little bit part of the muzzle system as well, right? So you could go crazy with this. And the interesting part is, once this is set up, you can as well just swap in the object. So I could just come here on the position object, and rather than use this, I can drop in an object, pick it up, and then it's going to work just fine as well. So the final thing that we want to do is just to add in a collider, right? So as this meshing, like, going to have that nice collider right there. So let me see. I can really remember where I dropped in my skull.
6.5 hours later.
Alright guys, so I have my skull right here, and I'm just going to quickly so I'm going to turn off this original model here, and I'm going to just quickly align this right here. Sorry, not that way. So I'm going to click on my skull here and quickly align it to this. I'm going to just scale my skull down, scale it down some more, and I'm going to just put it right underneath here. So I'm going to check my front view to see. I'm going to scale it up so it matches, but not I don't want it to come out. So I'm going to turn this edge default shading. I'm going to turn off edge faces. I'm going to come here. So I'm just going to add the time mesh. I'm going to turn this to transparent so we could see through it. So the way I'm doing that is Alt X. Click on your object and then click on Alt X to show the transparency mode. So I'm just going to move this right here, and I'm going to try and position this as close to the skin as possible. Once that is done, I simply want to go to I'm going to hide this back. I'm going to go to my Tyflow, turn it back on. Right, so I am going to open up my Tyflow, and right after opening up Tyflow, I'm going to just put I'm going to put a collision here, right here, And for the collision, I'm going to click on, I'm going to click on that skull. Let me just quickly rename this to, I'm going to rename this to skull. That should be double L, but yeah, you get the gist. So I'm going to leave that to skull. And right now, let me turn off, okay, time measure is turned off. And if I hit play, as we begin to sim, you could see that some of this will be locked on to this guy right here. Let's see that. Right, so we see some of them eating this geometry right here. One thing I want to do is to open up my Tyflow, and right here I want to click this to shape radius, and then let me stop that from seaming, and then I want to make sure bounce is set to roughly maybe like 1, because I don't want it to bounce at all. I want to set friction to about say 80, so I want some of the particles to eat it and stay, you know, right there. So let me turn this back down to say 50,000, so we could just see what's going on better and faster. See, this goes and start the same. Now, one of the reasons why we were having issues earlier with setting up the force, the turbulence there, is probably because of the scale of our sim, of our object. So we probably need to be a bit bigger, you know, so the force could be applied better. But yeah, we just need to reduce the size of the value and it will be better. Alright, so let's see what's going on here. Alright, so this is probably happening because of this collision that we have here. So first of all, let me set it back to absolute radius, and let's see if that fixes the issue. Okay, yeah, so that's fixed the issue. So we just need to leave that to absolute radius. So I'm going to come back here and let me turn back this strength of this turbulence a little bit. So let's say 0.0025. Let's see how that's working. Yep, this is looking nice. So now we have that some of those particles just really you know, activate, really resting on this skull. One thing again is we really want to have some collision geometry on part of the body as well here. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn Tyflow off a bit. I'm going to turn on my Z mesh, click on Alt X, and what I want to do is just basically convert this to an editable polygon. You could do it from editable mesh as well too, but I just prefer this. And I'm going to turn on my edge here, and basically we know that this object right here activates somewhere around here, so that means other part of the body except for this part needs to be collision geometry, right? So I'm just going to click on one there. I'm just going to, it grows, I'm just going to make sure I grow up all of these parts that seems to be activated. I'm going to click here as well too, and then just grow those parts as well. And yeah, basically, so I want to so let me turn Tyflow back on, and just for visual representation, so you can see that all of these parts are activated, and here, so you want to have all of these parts to be collision geometry. So now with this part selected, I mean, you could go further and detail this part out, you know, the geometry, the collision geometry. But with this part selected, I am just going to click on Control I, so that's going to invert the selection. Okay, actually we don't need to invert the selection. We don't need to do that because this is the part we actually need to take off. So we just hit delete. But one thing is we need to make a duplicate of this. Just remembered, we need to make a duplicate of this object. So let me just Control V that. I'm going to click on a copy. I'm going to call it collision geo, and I'm just going to select that on the collision geometry, and I'm going to hit delete. So we can now bring this guy as a collision geometry. right? So with that done, let me just hide this. Let me hide the collision geometry as well, and let me just turn on the tie flow. Yeah. So with that done, you're gonna start noticing that some of the particles that are activated are falling directly on this, and at the same time falling directly on the body right here on the mesh, right? So yeah, that's basically it, and you could easily apply this to any object of your choice. Alright guys, so if you found this tutorial useful, be sure to like, subscribe and share. Thank you so much. I'm going to be releasing another tutorial very soon about how you could create realistic explosions and destructions on Tyflow and 3ds Max. See you guys.